All right, here we go. We're live. I think we're live. Let me just double check this real quickly. Always a little daunting on the solo live shows to make sure you're properly connected with the YouTube feed. But looks like we're all set. And there we are. There's me talking to myself. So before we get started, I just want to say I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer, a hell of an engineer. Like all the jolly good fellows, I drink my whiskey clear. I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech, a hell of an engineer. Good on you to the boys from North Avenue. Absolutely love it. That's one of the, I don't know, look, it's Florida State podcast. We're going to talk Florida State, but that's one of the worst losses I've seen a program have, and I don't know how you take your head coach seriously after that. So that's where we'll get started. And I mean, the story for me yesterday was more what went on everywhere else around the world of college football. That went about as well as it could as far as things go. If you're monitoring the national landscape and think that Florida State has a chance to have a special year, and the fact that your two rivals have had your in-state rivals have had two pretty rough losses the past 2 weeks is only a good thing for Florida State. So Florida State moves to 5-0 for the first time since 2015, I believe. I put a link in the comments. I'm never going to stay in y'all's ears about the Battle's End, but if you want to support the Battle's End, certainly battlesend.com, it's there. And also there's a link to a one-time gift of $50 in reflection of Florida State moving to 5-0. So apologies for not getting something up last night, but yesterday was a lot of fun, and not a good idea for me to come on the podcast drunk at 10 o'clock to talk about a game. So here we are in the morning. And like I said, the game, I know people are going to bemoan the second quarter, and understandably why. And when you open it and they return the kickoff there, a moment of anxiety, but honestly impressed with the way the team responded. Offense was about what we thought, as far as yesterday was the first day that you really had a chance to establish the running game, and great to see Trey Benson have the day that he did. Toafili also, what is that? That's the second touchdown that Lawrence scores. Seems to have a rather patented move of riding defenders and not going down for what appears to be a tackle there. So against Clemson, it was on a pass play, and this one was a run in the open field that ended up not being down at the 3, but rather scoring. So I don't know. I wouldn't call it like a pedestrian day for Jordan by any means, but what was he? I think he was 18 of 24, 18 of 23, 18 of 24, 170 yards, no interceptions. I mean, I don't think Jordan's gonna win the Heisman, so I don't know that we need to concern ourselves with that. Jordan appeared to be healthy by all accounts, and certainly felt much more comfortable running the ball than he did the last time we saw him. So that's really all that I'm going to take away as far as the quarterback play. Benson, 11 carries for, I think, 201, 200, and had a couple of really nice long runs there. I don't have access to these things, but I'd love to know what the GPS said on a couple of those runs. I imagine that Trey got probably somewhere around 20 or 21 miles an hour, and that's what he is capable of. Big physical guy who also has pretty elite top end speed. So great to see him have the day that he did. Toafili was 6 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown, and impressive day for him. just want to point out, it was great to see Destin Hill get involved and while he only had one reception, a impressive catch uh, was that for 30 yards and just a flash as to what that guy is capable of. There have been days at practice where Destin Hill, it looks like, I don't know if he's your best wide receiver because, Keon and Johnny or Keon and Johnny, but he's that's a special player. And he is only going to continue to grow into the offense and be a more prominent part of it. Let me see. So I don't have anything official on Johnny as far as an injury goes. I wouldn't be real concerned about that. I think that's just I would again we'll see what officially comes from the program, but I would be surprised if you don't see Johnny next week. Maybe maybe you sit him for a week, but I don't think that's anything too serious. Kyle Morlock featured a little bit more prominently than we've seen him. 4 catches for 30 yards, and was was a part of the offense almost from snap one. So Jaheim Bell is the bigger story there at tight end. Only took so many plays, so I will wait for an official word as to if that was an injury. And if so, what the situation is there. So I'm long-winded way of saying that I'm more curious as to what the report is on Bell than Wilson this morning. So I did see that Prince that he tweeted out that he was straight and he was good. So yeah, I think Johnny's gonna be fine. As far as the defense goes, look, the defense gave up 10 points. That kid's is gonna create some opportunities for himself. You don't like seeing him haul off for 50 yards or whatever, but I don't have any complaints really with what you saw from the defense. I mean, it's a unit that is going to continue to grow, but from coming off a bye week, that was a good showing. Unfortunate that AZ doesn't get credit for the pick there. It was that's Azaria. He's just probably one of the more impressive raw athletes on the team, and great to see him flash like that. For those of you that were concerned about Jared Verse's sack numbers, he had himself a day, and yeah, I'm not even really going to talk about that much because Jared Verse has been very, very good all year. He just didn't have the box score numbers to correspond to it, and great to see him get 2 sacks yesterday. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys want to ask some questions. We talk about it. I just don't know that it's a game of like hyper analysis. Really, it was you got off or you got up on them relatively early. They had the second quarter. They respond with a kickoff return, but Benson immediately takes one to the house. And not that my feelings or thoughts or emotions matter, but I'll just tell you, being in the stands, it was never a game that I thought was particularly in doubt, and it was never a game that I thought would end up, as anything other than kind of how it did. I think Bud and I were somewhere in mid 40s, middle teens. So, relatively close as to what we thought the ultimate score would be. Really good to see Conrad Hussey have the play that he did. The hit is awesome, but to see that kid diagnose and get to the ball in the manner that he did on that screen. I also thought that might have been I thought that ball was live. I thought that should have been ruled a fumble. I don't know if it was a forward pass or not. It looked like it was. It looked to me like that could have ended up being a live ball. So, Tatum Bethune. I see a lot of comments there. I don't have any update on that. I do. I will inquire, and we'll have more information for you tomorrow night. And I don't know if that was I'm not sure where he would have picked up an injury. I believe he was healthy, pretty healthy going into that game. So, um, yeah, I will agree with this comment as somebody that I didn't grow up in Virginia, but went to college there and have family from there, and I go back to Virginia an awful lot. It is strange to see where Virginia Tech was 20 years ago, and where they are now. I will say that was always a getting that many kids from the 757 area code, Newport News, Vaughan Beach, etc., over to Virginia Tech is basically in Roanoke. Um, that is, it's not next door. I'll put it that way. It's across the state, and from a cultural perspective, it's on the other side of the world. So I was always curious as to how much of a stranglehold Virginia Tech would be able to have on that area. And for those of you that aren't familiar, I mean, that is outside of Dallas, Atlanta, or Miami, that may be the most fertile recruiting ground in the country. The level of athlete that comes out of that area, from a broader perspective, not just football, that may be like the most athletic area of the country, as far as if you look at like track stars, boxers. It is that Virginia Beach, Newport News, except Hampton, is just you can go back and look from a football perspective. It's Lawrence Taylor, Mike Vick, just a ton of guys. And Pernell Whitaker is a boxer from that area, and I believe they've had a lot of people that have gone on to do big things in track and field and other sports like that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Virginia Tech in general. I don't know. Obviously, everybody in the ACC right now is mindful of conference realignment, and I would be concerned if I were them as to what their ultimate option might be, and that has changed significantly. Where even 10 years ago, I would have considered Virginia Tech to be a pretty attractive candidate for a couple of conferences. So, yeah, it's enough time on Virginia Tech from a macro perspective, but it is a program that sits at 2-4, and I don't see a whole lot of super bright days ahead of them. So, no, this is a dart. Appreciate your comments and agree with them. I mean, that was those were the two big pieces that the ACC grabbed from the then Big East, and obviously Miami's done absolutely nothing since being in the conference, and Virginia Tech is right there with them. So not the team or the program that you thought you were getting when you added them. So what was their first year in the ACC? 2005, 2006, something like that. Yeah, Allen Iverson from that area of Virginia. Ronald Curry, if that name rings a bell with you guys, Ronald Curry was actually in the same class as Michael Vick, and Ronald Curry might have been the most recruited high school athlete, I don't know, of all time. That may be a little bit strong, but he was the only player. I think there's been one or two other, but like when I was fully like in love with recruiting as a kid, he was the only player that I had ever seen that was a USA Today All-American as a junior, and that All-American team used to be one of the bigger benchmarks. Like it was Parade All-American, USA Today, and as a recruit, Nick, I actually sent all this stuff to Bud a couple years ago, and he needs to send it back to me. So Bud, you can get on that when you got a second. But yeah, I used to cut all these things out of the newspaper and just save them because it was cool to see, year over year and to see where kids went. But anyways, Ronald Curry was as recruited a kid as there was. Ended up signing with UNC. Played a little bit of basketball as well. I think played in the NBA. No, he played as a wide receiver in the NFL. Excuse me. But a guy that was legitimately considered one of the top prospects in football and a super elite basketball recruit as well. So, yeah, no, I mean, it's hard not to talk about Miami this morning. It's just like, man, when you lose a game like that, and not only did you lose the game, that was your BOGO, dog. That was where you got your tickets for the Texas A&M game, and Miami, oof, oof. I'll be very interested to see what the longer implications of that. That is not the first time that Mario Cristobal has done something like that. There was a game against Stanford in 2018, if I remember, that basically the same thing played out. So when you're the head coach and you're directly responsible for your team losing because of your in-game decision making, and I don't mean like, oh, you played this kid rather than that one or something that could be subjective. This is clear cut. Like Miami lost because of their head coach. That's like that's going to have some fallout, and that will be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but I think you have a hard time looking at some of the kids in your locker room after that, and we'll see what the ultimate implications are. But it was a big weekend for Miami as far as recruiting and other things. And I think fans tend to overestimate how much, like, oh, if a kid goes and sees the team lose or something like that, that's not as look. If you lose 5 in a row or something like that, then yeah, that can be a problem. But kids don't make a decision based off one game. But I do think that is it's a big damn deal, and it'll be interesting to see how the program as a whole responds to that. And look, when you've got fierce rivalries with Duke and Georgia Tech, it's tough. Sometimes they jump up and get you, and it was just another example of how the ACC is a absolute meat grinder, and teams that you don't think necessarily beat Miami have a habit of doing that. So that's a toughie, as my friend Jeff Cameron likes to say. So yeah, guys, look, you're 5-0. You're one of the more stable programs in the country, and that's kind of an interesting turnabout. But you got a great head coach who's built a strong support staff around him, and I think Florida State's in a really, really good place. Doesn't mean that they won't lose a game this year or something like that, but from a program perspective, I think Florida State's as stable and attractive as it has been, and probably since 2015, and will be interesting to see what the long-term ramifications are for that. You've got a head coach that by all accounts you think will be here for the foreseeable future. I don't know that Mike is an NFL guy. Maybe he is. Maybe there's probably a piece of everybody that wants to try their trade at the highest level, but I think you're in a really good place. So that's more of a longer term conversation that we can watch and monitor and see how it goes. But Florida State is 5-0. Florida State is a top 5 program. We'll worry about the polls if you want to worry about them in November, and will be interesting to see what the playoff rankings look like when they're is that week 8, I think, where you start to see that. So we're not all that far away from turning our eyes to that, and I don't really give a damn what the polls say. They're not particularly important, and I've kind of been rendered meaningless when it comes to the playoff era. So Yeah, if you guys got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But nice, solid win for Florida State. I really don't think there's a ton to take away from the game. Uh, Maybe a couple dings and dents that we'll get a better idea from a injury perspective, but I don't think anything occurred that's going to shape the course of your season. Um, excuse me. But otherwise, a nice solid win. 22-point win, and you move on. And you look at Syracuse next week, and then Duke after that. Nice little 3-game home stretch here that I think Florida State needed. It had been a little bit of a, I don't want to say hectic, but you open with a neutral site game, play Southern Miss, travel to Boston. It's just good little stretch here for Florida State to make the most of, and also yesterday was a sellout. Yesterday was, dude, you could sell not fantastic tickets yesterday for like 85 or $90 on the secondary market. I mean, it's a great thing for Florida State. The Southern Miss game was I think you had 65,000 people come through the stands. That's a great thing, and I expect Syracuse to probably sell out if it hasn't already. And I believe that Duke has already been announced as a sellout. So great stuff from a program perspective, and having that many people come through Tallahassee is only good for the local economy, and good for all the other sports that football kind of helps to drive the economic engine. So what's your opinion of Syracuse after the Clemson game? No, I mean, Syracuse is just, they are kind of, this is just kind of what they do. They start relatively strong, frequently aided by a schedule that's not all that super impressive. And I don't, we'll have next week to dive deeper into the Syracuse game, but that's not something that I'm particularly concerned about at this point. Bandana Gramps asks, if we make the playoffs, do we keep Alex Atkins next year? Yeah, I think Alex Atkins, I mean, look, anything can happen. Alex is a super dynamic coach who's exceptionally highly thought of. But I don't get the feeling that there are coaches that our old friend Walt Bell, so like Walt Bell was like, basically it was known that like Walt Bell wanted to be a head coach before he was ever really an offensive coordinator, and that's not the way you do it. You need to grow in. There's a reason why you climb the coaching hierarchy, the coaching chain, and it's that you have a better idea as to what is exactly expected from you as a whether it be, if you go analyst, position coach, coordinator, head coach, whatever the track may be. You need to fully pour into being that station that you are in life. And I think Alex has gone from position coach to coordinator, and obviously this is Mike Norvell's offense, and Mike is one of the few play calling head coaches, but you're still getting a great experience as an offensive coordinator. And I think Alex is patient ultimately with what he wants to do from a career perspective. So long-winded way of saying that I think you have Alex Atkins for a year or two. And look, if you go to the playoffs and Alex Atkins gets some kind of a fantastic job offer, then credit to him, and you're happy for him. And that's what happens when you work under Mike Norvell. He's always getting people promoted, and it does get more challenging the further you get away from being. So that is kind of the great challenge for coaches as they age and mature, is that, like, when you're an offensive coordinator, you've got a much better idea as to who maybe some of the younger coaches, younger talent pieces are out there. And it's easier to identify younger coaches and go hire them. When you're a head coach, you've got so many responsibilities and so many things asked of you that it is hard to have your finger on the pulse exactly of younger and upcoming coaches. And that's always going to be a challenge. But, Mike seems to be particularly talented at identifying people. And if opportunities find themselves for Alex Atkins or Adam Fuller or whoever it may be, I think you've got a head coach that you can have a reasonable degree of confidence is going to continue to make solid choices with the people that he surrounds himself with. So, all right, y'all, 5-0 Sunday morning Nolecast. It's been great. Been very poor on my part, and I'm 25 minutes in and haven't thanked nary a single sponsor. So, the legendary team of Chad and Shannon, always a driving force behind the Nolecast. 844 FSU Loan, 844 FSU Loan. Our good friends at Madison Social and all the For the Table Restaurant Group properties. Madison Social was absolutely was beyond packed on Friday night. So great to see those guys continue to do well. And Matt Lewis and the team at Congruity are always people that we wholeheartedly endorse and would encourage you to give 5 or 10 minutes if you're looking to receive support from whether it be HR, payroll, or anything else that you can that you would possibly need to make your business run in a more efficient and optimized manner. So congruityhr.com is the website there. So look, we'll turn our attention to Syracuse and Duke. Homecoming game. I'm excited about that. It'll be the first time my mom has come back to Tallahassee since graduating from Florida State in the late 60s, I believe. So I particularly am excited for the Duke game. And it's a fun year, man. Being 5-0 is pretty damn cool. I would just enjoy it. And if you want to turn your attention to what's going on nationally, you can, and I think that's warranted. Survive and advance, win games, get younger kids playing time, and continue to establish yourself as a very healthy and attractive program. And I think Florida State is absolutely doing that. So if you're 5-0 and want to dissect everything that goes wrong, I certainly understand that. And there's content for you that you can go around and look at. I'm not disparaging anybody. But on the whole, just speaking from myself, this feels like the healthiest Florida State has been since Jimbo Fisher's run in the middle of the last decade. So great to get back to that place and be seen as one of the premier programs in the country. So it's fun times, and I think this season is only going to continue to be very enjoyable. So we'll be back. We'll get Bud's opinion on the game, and look forward to Bud's always got a zinger in his back pocket when it comes to the University of Miami. Perhaps that's why we've gotten along as well as we have over the 15 years or whatever it's been. So, mutual interest and appreciation there from both of your hosts of the Nolecast. So, Florida State 5-0, Miami loses game because their head coach doesn't understand in-game coaching, and that's a great pairing to have on a college football weekend. So, very much appreciate the support that the Nolecast has received historically. If you guys want to like the stream, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. That's not quite as important as it used to be, but still influential, and that's gratefully appreciated. So with that, I'll wrap it up. You guys can go to thebattlesend.com if you have an interest. I did put a one-time gift link in the comments as well, which I think takes you to a $50 one-time pledge in reflection of Florida State being 5-0. So love y'all. Talk soon. Knowles. And I'll probably sing the Georgia Tech fight song 1 or 2 more times as I drive back to Atlanta. See you guys later.